Good morning. My name's Alex Sains and this is Rhian Bond. And we're speaking to you from Avon Valley Churches, a group of churches on the northwestern edge of the New Forest in Hampshire. Now today is the 23rd of March and it's a special day because it's been in my diary with a pretty highlighter around the date for a while now, because it's the day that my first grandchild is due to be born. So I don't know actually if he's been born yet because we're actually filming this a couple of days beforehand. So who knows, I might be a granny right now. So it's very exciting. And last weekend was Mothering Sunday. And as part of the All Sorts service in Fordingbridge, Rhian and I had a little conversation in front of everyone entitled, "What is a Mum?" And we want to have that conversation with you this morning. Because I think we confuse people a little bit with our relationship. I think some people may have heard me introduce Rhian as my adopted daughter. Some people may have even heard Rhian refer to me as mum. So let's just clear that up to begin with. So I'm going to ask you a question, Rhian. Am I your mum?
No. And yes.
Okay, so let's explore this a bit more, shall we? Let's ask Rhian another question. So tell me about the mum who gave you life.
Sure. Okay, I'll introduce you to my mum. Here we go. So her name is Pauline.
Shall I hold it there so people can see her?
Yeah, she gave birth to me in 1986, and for the first 16 years of my life, she was everything to me.
And what was she like?
She was gentle, she was kind, she was also a Christian, so she loved the Lord with all her heart. Everyone who knew her loved her, and she loved everyone.
Oh, and were you an only child?
No, I've got two older brothers, Stephen and Mark. They're quite a lot older than me. In fact, I came as a surprise 8 years after Mark.
And did she work?
Yeah, she had a real love for children, so she became a registered childminder, and at least until I started secondary school, and she ran the Sunday school at church for as long as I can remember.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
So in 2002, my world as I knew it completely flipped on its head. Mum became very ill very quickly with pancreatic cancer. And within a 6-month period, so in the November of that year, she sadly died.
And who supported you through that time?
So it wasn't an easy time for us. Mum and Dad had actually separated not long before, so it was actually just Mum and I living together throughout most of her illness. My brothers had moved away and had family and commitments of their own. So when Mum died, it was my brother Mark who made the decision to come home, giving up his life in London to live with me.
Wow. So the next key person in your life was actually your brother Mark.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Mark.
Okay, I'll introduce you to Mark. So this is Mark. There he is.
Shall I hold on to him again?
Yeah, he's incredible. He's super chilled, he's great company. He's probably at his happiest when he's at the beach, in his camper van and with his dog Jasper. In fact, he still lives in Pembrokeshire in southwest Wales, which is where I grew up.
And were you always close to Mark?
Yeah, so even with the big age gap, Mark and I were always close growing up. He loved having a little sister actually, mostly to tease, but also to take care of. He was genuinely proud of me. He would always allow me to play in his room on his Nintendo and meet all of his mates and his girlfriends that he'd bring home. He was also very affectionate, or at least tolerated my affection towards him. He showed an interest in my hobbies and my schoolwork and would always encourage me to do my best in everything.
So he moved home when he was only 24 and you were 16.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
He was amazing. He got me through my A-levels. He gave me sound advice on revision techniques, university applications, helped me get a part-time job, and taught me how to be a good friend to others. He also supported me going to church, actually, each week, even though my faith had taken a battering and his was virtually non-existent at that time.
And you'd both just lost your mum. So that must have been incredibly tough.
Yeah, even though Mark was grieving for his mum too, he took on that role himself. He made exceptional sacrifices to provide for me, in every sense of the word, practically and emotionally, as typically a parent would strive to do. That can't have been an easy gig for, raising your teenage sister at the age of 24. But he had the strength, the patience, the love and the desire to do it. And he stepped up and he did it really well.
And you got into university, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Somehow I got through my A-levels, made it to uni. But actually once I'd made my move away from home, I was heading towards adult life with a fair bit of baggage and a heart not yet healed.
So let's fast forward now to 2020. Tell us about the Rhian of 2020.
So I was living and working in London. I had been for 13 years at this point, plodding on, actually achieving lots, but still trying to navigate my way through life and faith, sometimes with great turbulence. And although I had my family, which was pretty broken in places, and my friendships, I was often lost and very alone.
And then what happened?
So for those who don't know, you and I met in February of 2020.
You did.
I attended a 3-day training course that you were delivering. So we're both obviously speech and language therapists. And over those few days, we very quickly struck up a friendship.
We did. And what was significant for you about that friendship?
Well, you made a big impact on me, of course, professionally, but you also significantly touched my life, emotionally and spiritually that week. Who would have thought that was possible at a work event?
Not me.
But during tea break discussions, you shared that you were a relatively new Christian, and you spoke of your experiences of losing your mum, hence the instant connection. We exchanged messages over the next few weeks and months, and you became a lifeline during lockdown, exchanging daily nuggets of our Bible readings and devotionals and prayer requests.
And then, of course, restrictions eased.
Yeah, yes, finally. And you kindly invited me to join you and your family in a social bubble to escape the city and to experience the New Forest. And it was pretty clear that I never really went back to London, did I?
No, you didn't. So we had to give you a speech therapy job, didn't we? So that you could relocate. So how has the mother-daughter relationship come about?
So there were gaps, there were wounds in my life that I hadn't fully appreciated were still there. I recognised that I was missing someone really significant, and I felt that that could be you. So it was actually during one of our earlier forest walks, wasn't it, that I braced myself and told you that you were old enough to be my mum.
Yes, I remember that.
But with that, you did say that you'd always wanted to have a daughter. So yay, here we are. But no, in all seriousness, you were a total answer to prayer. And as a result, 3 years on, I have a much healthier self-esteem and a stronger relationship with God. And we have such fun together, don't we?
We do. So it's an amazing story, Rhian, because it sounds like you've had 3 significant people in your life who've played the role of mum.
Yes.
For the first 16 years, you had your mum. And then the next 18 years, you had your brother Mark, especially for those first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then in the last 3 years, you've had me as in the role of an adopted mum. So if you had to summarise what a mum is to you, how would you summarise it? What would you say to us this morning?
So in some ways, although life dealt me quite a tough blow at 16, I do feel I've been very fortunate to have 3 significant people in my life that have given me a sense of what a mum should be. So a mum, to me, is an anchor. Someone who gives me stability and actually gives me the roots that allow me to grow. Someone who I can call home. I also see a mum as someone who journeys through life with me, who walks beside me. I see a mum as someone who loves me for who I am, unconditionally. Someone who is invested in me and supports me, guides me and prays for me, and even picks me up when I fall down. I also see a mum as someone who I look to a bit like a role model, someone who will influence me. So to sum up, what I believe is some mothers give birth to you and some mothers don't. Some mothers don't fit the stereotype at all, do they? Some mothers choose you, and there's mothers that you can choose for yourself. I think the role mother is a role that someone special to you can fill. Sometimes when they or you least expect it. Some mothers are only for a season, and some mothers can have your past, and others can have your future. You know, it's that someone who plays the role of mum that is an absolute gift from God, at whatever age and stage. It's that someone who is an angel in your life. And I really believe that the role of a mother is the biggest blessing.
Thank you so much, Rhian.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to Rhian's story, and I hope that you have a really good day today and that we see some of you soon. Thank you so much. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.